Time now for our public service FYI show here on KROS. We're going to be talking Ragbrai. Let's give it to the Ragbrai Registered Annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa. CVB Director Lesley Webster with us. That's part of your job, I guess, bringing this in. And Matt Parbs, you recruited him to come in and talk to. He must be one of your main organizers as well. I don't know. Maybe we'll start at the beginning, if there is a beginning. This Clinton was going to be the end site, I believe, in 2020. Right. The ride wasn't held over to 2021. How did that work and keep that planning process when it was kind of suspended?
That's why we got Matt.
Yeah, so Lesley, of course, comes in basically, let's just say January of 2021. And we're like, hey, welcome aboard. And by the way, you're going to have a once-in-a-decade event to execute. Luckily, shout out to like Dieter and the Ragbrai team. They kept in constant communication all through 2020 and then even, into 2021. And, it was trying to keep the same towns. There was a few switches out west. But other than that, like Maquoketa, sorry. Yeah, it is Maquoketa. Yeah, Maquoketa had to go to DeWitt because Maquoketa had construction this summer. So they had to find a new town. So DeWitt to Clinton's really short, and that's the biggest change for us down here. But other than that, it was going to be this similar type of route, and we kind of had the in-town route planned, and the biggest part has just been since then is actually, executing the plan.
It makes you, if people aren't familiar, says this is a bike ride, and I know when they organize it, it's not a race, it's not a competition, It's just a bike ride. So when you start this, what are you planning for? I guess the in-town has one aspect is the week before the end, you have to be ready for folks. I guess maybe we start there. Look at that, which would be what, the 23rd. Mm-hmm. What can we expect then? Is that where you want to start?
Well, sure. So the 23rd is when people get to town to start parking. And so I think right now we've sold around 600-ish parking passes. So you can count on that many cars at least into town on the 23rd. Some people will be camping at the band shell. Some people will be camping in Clinton Park. And then from what I'm hearing, it sounds like a lot of the hotels are maxing out on people camping in there.
Staying overnight.
Right.
And you still could get more. Now, again, some of these people, these 600 cars, buses, not just cars. A lot of these are some of the buses involved with that because there's charters who pick people up, drop them off, pick them up, take them home. How does that work with your parking?
Right. So that's what the parkers are doing. They're parking here. They're leaving their vehicles for the week. Then Saturday morning, sometime between 6 and 9, they're hopping on a charter bus and riding across the state. And then they come back here.
And now, because somebody bring their own car, maybe they got a group and they bring a car here, and then somebody else takes them across to start in the Western Iowa. So it's more than 600 vehicles.
Yep. That's going to happen too, is people coming and dropping off. So the 24th on that morning, you're going to have a lot of bikers. You're going to have cars, dropping people off at the charter sites and then leaving town because they might live within a 2-3 hour radius. There's probably going to be some airport shuttles coming in that morning. It's going to be a nice trial run for the 31st. But yeah, I don't know how many people really to expect on the 24th, but it's going to be it's going to be thousands and thousands of people still.
Right.
Where can people look for this parking? Because again, this is going to impact the folks in the city for that period of time. For that day or a couple of days in particular with some extra traffic. But where are you going to park all these vehicles? We'll call them vehicles.
In your front yard.
Hey, bring them over.
I did
whatever you're charging, I'll tack on my.
I did have
as they do when you go to all these ball game places, park in my
Right.
driveway
Yep.
for $10 or
Yep.
whatever. So
I did have one person who actually reached out to the official Ragbrai team, which is us, and asked if we could hook them up with a private residence. And it's like, oh, well, we've got. Funny you mentioned that. We have our own parking service as Clinton Ragbrai. You have two options to park.
Right. So we have a VIP parking, which is down in the Allied Steel. Thank you, Allied
Okay.
Steel lot.
People will know where that is.
Right. And so it's right down there. The campers are in the band shell. So it's literally next to their car and perfect for them. And then after the ride, it's nice and close to the dip site. So that's our VIP parking. Our standard long-term parking is out on the one-ways between Comanche and Liberty. And so we think that's a great space as well, because those roads are so traveled that it's going to be harder for people to pull off anything shady when there's traffic around there all the time.
And both of these, again, part of your plan too is security from beginning to end. So you have a week of providing security for these. Is that all lined up? How does that work?
Yeah, so the VIP parking will be, more or less fully monitored by American Legion,
Right.
and they're working on filling that out. And then long-term parking will also be monitored. We've got lights that we've purchased to basically, it's going to be very bright down there. Routine patrols, the what they call it, ERV. And anyways, the big police mobile
command
unit,
center.
command
Right.
center. And the volunteers there also looking over parking. And then, as Leslie said, I mean, long-term parking is so heavily trafficked. Whereas, it's going to be lots of deterrence in place. You can't guarantee 100% success, but I know there's going to be lots of deterrence in both parking lots that are going to be in place to ensure that if you are looking around, that there will be people seeing you.
Yes.
We do this. This is a committee with Leslie and Matt here, other people. This is not necessarily a city government function, although you work with the city government. So This is, I would call it private, but this is just folks, you guys and other volunteers doing it. The city government is not organized, and maybe people think that the city government's involved. But.
Right. No, they're collaborating for sure. Lisa Frederick down in the city clerk's office has had to deal with all of the vendor applications and things like that. So we're grateful that she gets those all processed for us. And of course, we are in complete cooperation with the city, and then all of the different city services we have to rely on. So we are very heavily reliant on the Clinton Police Department, on the County Sheriff's Department, the sanitation, the fire department. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I left some
Park and Rec, because it's
Parks and Rec.
we're using the band shell in that area. Then you also have the streets department and Zane Pinnock and the engineering department with maps and actually just route inspection. And then in the county and the city throughout the state of Iowa, the county and city engineering firms are given reports on maybe some troubleshooting for bikers. So if there's a buckle in the road or a pothole that as a car you don't even notice, but as a bike it's serious. Like you said, there is a lot of expectations on, or a lot of basically work that public puts in, public works.
One of our last big meetings included, we have like the county EMS is there. So it's literally just all of the different people, the fire chief, the police captain, like all of these people are all sitting in one room. And that was a fun meeting because it's talking about like risk management and things like that, which is, as a lifeguard, that's kind of up my alley. So I like to hear those conversations. So where are we going to put this many people if there's a tornado? I'm like, yes, people are thinking the same way I think. So
that's where I learned, the pool is, basically if there's lightning or tornadoes, it's not exactly the best place to put a bunch of people. So we have other options around the dip site. There's options if you're coming into town, which you expect a lot of people maybe trying to beat a storm, where to put them and all that.
But if you have a church, a business, something along the route that you think would be a good spot for an emergency shelter, reach out to us and let us know. We'll get that on the map so that it's an official emergency shelter. And really the only thing we need is a contact person for that day, for the 31st, so that if something did happen, we can call you up and say, we need you to open up your school so that we can send people there.
As you did this, you mentioned the city departments and probably they're all involved, but have you found, I guess, volunteers, people, businesses, the city cooperative and excited about this to participate and help out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, down in Lyons, when let's do the route real quick.
Oh, yeah.
That's in there. It says,
Right.
how are they coming into town?
Okay.
And that would be on the, make sure people understand, like, look over my shoulder, the 31st is when they're actually arriving
Correct.
back in town.
Yep. So what's really cool about this route is it was deliberative by all the city partners. They really wanted to make sure that the route went through all of our business districts. So you're going to come in on 136. You're going to pass down Main Avenue, and then you're going to be turning onto Pershing and going down Pershing all the way to Hawthorne Park, where a Q Center will probably happen as the bikers then go down 9th to dip and basically the marina spot. So that's the route. So those residents on Pershing will be impacted because the roads are going to be closed. Part of Main Avenue will be closed, and after they dip their bike, they're going to go down Riverview Drive and either go down to Lumber King Stadium and then down to long-term parking or VIP parking, or go all the way down Riverview Drive and go through our downtown to get to long-term parking.
Right.
So you're going to have, that's the goal, is to have out of town 15,000 people and 8,000 cars going through, the main things. And if you're on long-term parking, you're most likely going to leave on Miracle Mile and you can go out the west side of town. So you're going to have a lot of traffic there. And so talking about businesses, when you come in on Main Avenue, Lions Tap and the bicycle station and LPBA are partnering to put together a little street party.
Not a little one, a big one.
A big,
Yeah.
get them to stop on the way in town.
That's right.
And about showing that way, it says, but safety too. I think you have plans for this because Ragbrai is in it here several different times. And I remember one year they actually came in on 13th Avenue North down to probably 3rd Street, somewhere, maybe Pershing, and then down follow that same route. But we had bikes pedaling past the station all day. And so the routes picked, various routes have been picked and used over time for this event.
And our goal is really, we know that it's a big impact in the city. We know that there are some inconveniences. I was at one meeting at the Emergency Operations Center, and the officer that was manning the front door said, "Oh, last time I was here, my daughter got married on that day, and we couldn't get anywhere in town." We know that there's an impact. Our goal is to make sure that it's as positive an impact as possible. So I love that it's running through Lyons, that it's running through downtown, that it's running through all of the different spaces that they can hopefully stop, really get a good picture of what our city is, hopefully come back in the future. But we want it to be a positive impact for the businesses. So we have been talking to businesses specifically about, if you can operate business on your property, open your front door and put out a table selling water bottles or something. We want it to be a good positive impact. And all the people on Pershing, that's, let the little kids set up their lemonade stand or their popsicle stand, because they're going to get business, and that's the fun and the party atmosphere of it. We want that part to shine through.
Well, I know one time it ended, I thought was interviewing one of the folks who had just finished the ride at the dip site. And he said it wasn't really a bike ride across Iowa, it was eating your way across Iowa, because every city, that was what they
Right.
said. That was his comment about Ragbrai. So I always remember that. Yeah, it wasn't riding your bike, it was
Right.
eating your way across Iowa.
We have one of our vendors is an Amish family out of, I don't even know where, I guess. But they are coming in and they sell pie and ice cream, and that's what they sell. And so they're setting up basically across from the dip site, and this will be the last pie chance that they get.
Pie.
But that's a big thing, apparently, is pie.
Yeah. Have either one of you ridden on Ragbrai?
I don't even know how to ride a bike. So.
That's true. He doesn't. I do, but it's not good. Have you ridden on Ragbrai?
No, I have not. And
Okay.
no, I will not.
Okay.
You can count on that, put it in the book, and close the book. No.
Well, I'll tell you on the 25th, I think it is. Let me see our calendar. Yes. So on Sunday the 25th, Greg Obrin is putting together, he's calling it a celebrity dip ride. So we're hoping to get some local celebrities to ride. So you could do that.
We're going to
You could
talk to
ride.
Gary about that. He's our local celebrity.
Okay.
We'll make him we'll designate him as our local celebrity.
Yeah, and the goal is like to get kids involved and do a short ride, and they can dip their tires then. So.
Putting this all together, we're talking a little about the volunteers. Who makes this happen? We've got Leslie and Matt in here. There's got to be tens of many people.
Well, I'll call out my executive team because this is my first time, and I jumped into something that was already partially planned, thankfully. So I'm very grateful for Matt, for Chris Wiersma, Greg Obrin, Eric Van Lanker, and Kaylee Kennedy Ivory, Zane Pennock,
Joe Raymakers.
Joe, and Bill Greenwald. I mean, if it weren't for these people and Joel Atkinson
Yep.
and Jeff Chapman, if it weren't for those people, I would be terrified right now. But then in terms of the individual volunteers, that's all falls under Matt's category.
Yeah. So that's one of the main, this last 30 days, if you will, it's a little shorter than 30 days. The main push is basically filling in all of our volunteers. So if you want to help out on the 23rd, 24th, and or the 31st, there's various needs for you. If you're an organization that might want to, help out with, monitoring long-term parking, that's also a thing. But the biggest ones are when they come into town, helping check in parking on the 23rd and 24th. And that's literally on Friday the 23rd from 11 to 10 o'clock, so 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then on the 31st, more or less, let's think of it as 8 to 3. We're going to be filling in what we think is 9:30 to about 11:30 or noon, which will be the peak. So we're going to have lots of bodies along the route, at the dip site, info booths, and really what we talked about, what we want volunteers, especially for the 31st, are, you mentioned a great name as we came in, people that know the town, are excited, that want to interact with 15,000 bikers or bicyclists, and basically tell them, hey, here's where the food booths are going to be, the entertainment. Oh, you need to go get, this happens with American Queen too, with the guides. Hey, you need a Band-Aid, you need some aspirin, you need a place to sit and have a cold drink and cool off before you get in your car and go. You should hit out these restaurants. You need to get this, that, or that. And so that's what a lot of the 31st is ushering and public interaction. So.
What other kind of things? What kind of things do you have to plan down in the park? You mentioned the rib site, the dip site where they put the tires in the tradition down in the park. Are there going to be things going on there in addition to that? What's that going to look like?
So we do have entertainment. It's not all the way down at the dip site though. All of the riders are getting pushed up onto Riverview Drive there. And so the entertainment is going to be, we have a stage set up right at the top of the hill there at 6th Avenue North. Yes. Okay. So that they could go down. Ted is going to open up the Lumber King Stadium and have beer and concessions available there. But the entertainment will be right at the top of that hill. So that way, for the people that have to keep going down Riverview to get to their long-term or wherever their people are, there's going to be a lot of entertainment. We have some non-food vendors that are setting up. They're going to be selling some Clinton Ragbrai t-shirts and some other souvenir kind of things. So that'll be a lot of fun. I think that'll be a nice party spot. So between there and Lions and the Lumber King Stadium, I think there's going to be some spots for entertainment, which everybody local is welcome to come down and participate. Just don't plan to bring your car. You can't drive your car there.
You mentioned that people can come down. You've got entertainment. You've got food trucks, vendors, all kinds of things. So the public who maybe didn't ride can come down and mingle and talk to some of these people and visit and things like that. Take advantage of the entertainment you've got. They can come down. It's not a closed event from that standpoint.
Correct.
It'll be like Finally Fridays or the 4th or some of these other events where you're not going to be able to park on riverfront, so you're going to be parking basically courthouse area and all that, and walking to the riverfront, and other than that, yeah, there's a great lineup of bands there on Riverfront, and it's going to be really fun. And we do hope to see a lot of people come out and bring some lawn chairs.
I think we have live music starting at 9 o'clock or 9:30. I can't remember.
So somewhere, just come on down.
Yeah.
Beer tents.
Right.
Hey, got it all. So.
That's right.
But you don't forget some of this. There's some costs involved. You want to get sure to mention some of the major sponsors who are helping out with some of this. We don't want to forget them for that effort too, because this can't happen without them.
For sure. We have 3 primary sponsors, and I'm trying to remember. I think we call them the writer.
I can't remember the category
what the level names were, but 3 that are our biggest sponsors. We have Alliant Energy, Citizens First Bank, and First Wealth Financial Group. So each of them has donated very generously, and we're grateful for that. And that's helping do things like secure the entertainment and pay for extra EMS people for the day and things like that.
If this, hey, say last minute, but you said 30 days or less volunteers. You said you still need some. Hundreds, tens. I mean, what? As many as you can get. You get so much volunteer, you find a spot for them.
In essence, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
Because the dip site, as we're filling in, the parking on the 23rd and 24th, it is the summer, and there's, there are, I know like a church from Morrison will be helping out with long-term parking, and they're going to have a couple of shifts there from like 11 to 1, and so we realize if you have a church that wants to volunteer, it's not 11 to 10, and now you might be able to fill in all of that. So there's that type of thing where it is the summer, and so, we do know that, if down at the dip site as we're talking, we want to have excess people. If we could have 15 people or so, let's say, and like right now we got like in the main rush of people from like 9:30 to 11:30. If you need to go to the bathroom or take a break or drink some water, the bikers aren't stopping.
Right.
So we want to fill in as much as possible. So yeah, when we want as many organizations, we've got lots of churches, that can do things. Ones that come to mind right now is like Hope Church, who's got just a little crew of even kids, and so they're going to probably help out with cleanup, which I forgot to mention. Yeah,
there is a cleanup factor.
Also, they don't know that's what they're
helping with
yet. But
hey,
surprise!
Guess what?
Yeah. Well,
that's what
anyways,
we're asking you for.
Yeah. So there's those type of things where we'll find things for you. Or as Leslie, we were talking to a nursing home who's just down the street from the museum. There's other things in the community that volunteers can be used for. Right. So we're really grateful when, like I said, these kind of organizations reach out, want to participate, and we'll find different ways to get you plugged in, because there are a lot of basically spots on the 23rd, 24th with parking, and then the 31st. Just think of it from basically Lions Filling Station to the Lumber Kings Ball Stadium. There are so many points along the way where if you have somebody there who's waving, talking to them, there will be police in a lot of intersections. So as a volunteer, you don't have to worry about traffic control. But as Leslie likes to point out, traffic control is different than hospitality. You don't want to, ideally, you wouldn't be mixing the two. The cops can focus on safety. Yes. And our volunteers can focus on just waving and like we do with American Queen, when hundreds of people show up on Riverfront to, basically overwhelm the people off the boat. There's plenty of spots to fill.
So if they do want to volunteer,
what do they need to do?
Yes. So they can shoot an email to either myself or Matt. Let us know that you're interested in being on the volunteer list. If you send it to me, I'm going to send it to Matt, just FYI. And then we do have volunteer meetings. So we'll get with you when you volunteer. But as well, then on July 20th, we're going to have 2 different meetings, a 10 a.m. and a 5:30 p.m. meeting. So hopefully people can get to one or the other. And just kind of cover everything. We have volunteer T-shirts, so those will be given out for the day. And just make sure that everybody knows what they're doing, where they're going, feels comfortable with their assignments.
As we wrap things up, Matt, Leslie, what question did you want to talk about that we didn't get asked during our show?
I just want to stress again that on July 31st, there'll be 15,000 bicyclists, thousands and thousands of cars, charter buses. When you see bikers out on 136, because they can't close the state highways, kind of watch out for them. Just remember that there's going to be a lot of cyclists who we were told, right, with the Iowa State Police, it's funny, is sometimes, they're in their zone, and if they're riding alone, they perhaps will follow all the rules, but when they're in a big group having fun, they might forget oh yeah, I gotta, they don't have to slow down for me and things like that. And so it's rider safety. Ride Right Committee has been a big thing with Greg and Zane, and they would like us to get the word out that there will be lots of bicyclists. Your car will always win in a battle between a bicycle and a car.
Please don't go to that battle.
Yes. So
Right. And I would add two things. One is if you get on Facebook and look for Clinton Ragbrai, there's a page there. If you are somebody that wants to have somebody come camp at your yard, there are people asking. They're asking things like, is there a space that our group can meet up in? Is anybody willing to open their house so that my group of 10 can get showers? There are lots of people looking for rides, some of them back to the Quad Cities, some to other areas. So if you're somebody that wants to be an Uber driver for the day, check out that website on Facebook there. There are a lot of people making those requests. And then the other thing I would say with that is we do have some really great vendors lined up. We're excited to have the food trucks and a couple of non-food vendors as well. The deadline officially was yesterday to apply, but I did talk to the city clerk, and if they can get it in here in the next few days, we can still process that. So it's a great opportunity. Like Matt said, 15,000 people on bicycles. That doesn't even count the number of their support staff. So for example, the largest charter has about 1,400 cyclists that travel with them. They bring close to, I think it's 150 staff with them. So you're talking 20,000 people in town that day. This is a great day to be a vendor. So definitely, if you're interested in that, check out that information, apply for that, but as soon as possible.
Matt, you raise your hand.
Yes. The Uber is a great thing that if you're thinking about, should I start an Uber? How's it going to work? Maybe I want to try it out. There are so many people who are like, oh, can I get an Uber to like Iowa City? And it's like, oh my gosh, that's like hundreds of dollars. People are like, yeah, I'll pay it. I just need to get back to the airport and don't want to deal with the shuttle. We don't know how many of those people exist, but we've gotten every couple of days there's somebody who's like, I want an Uber to the Quad Cities or Iowa City. I would say if you're thinking about it, it's a good opportunity to test that app out and see how it actually works.
There's some cash waiting for you.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Leslie, for coming in today
Thank
on
you.
our FYI show.
You're listening to AM 1340 KROS, Clinton.